The savannah knew no fences, only the infinite horizon. Warm, fast-paced, iron gates creak open. The heavy march of boots shatters the morning peace. Stone walls rise rapidly. The open wild is carved into rigid, cold borders. Hunters are now the watched, gathered into spaces where every shadow feels like a cage. A hand blocks the latch. Even walking now requires a stranger's nod.
All you need.
So the short video you just watched, it's a simple illustration of what happened to the Indigenous people in Canada. However, this video is kind of like reversed, depicting the Indigenous people as Black people, because we also had colonizers in Africa and in Nigeria as well. Luckily for us, the colonizers were bitten by mosquitoes and they started dying from typhoid fever, so they all left and went back to England. That is the same reason why we still have our villages, we still have our languages intact. But unfortunately for the Indigenous people of Canada, that wasn't the case. They were, their lands were taken from them, and that is what we have today. So these people, for most times, live on the reserve. So the reserve is actually their village. That is their land. So it's not actually a bad thing. It's not a derogatory term, but it's just their village. And I personally love going to the reserve because it just reminds me of my village in Nigeria. Now, back to the main topic. The reason I'm showing you this video is because I believe that having an understanding of the Indigenous people in Canada will help you understand your role in this whole equation. Because the Indigenous people in Canada, they determine the present and the future of Canada. Now, you might have heard some stereotypes about the Indigenous people of Canada, which I think that you should educate yourself, go and study about the history, go and learn about them, visit them, talk to them. The most important point I'm trying to make with this video is that Canada has a legal obligation to take care of Indigenous people. So when the government is giving the Indigenous people money, funding them, spending so much money on their health care, on their benefits, it's because it was something that was promised to them many, many years ago, and it still stands today. And there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. So the point I'm also trying to make with this video is to create a scenario for you to understand your place in Canada. So look at this. The Canadian government, like long time ago, took the lands from Indigenous people, right? And now, after many years, they opened the border and you came in, right? So you coming into Canada, but Canada originally belongs to the Indigenous people. Now you see where I'm going, right? Now, you have nothing to do with Indigenous people. You're dealing with Canada. Now, what happens tomorrow if Canada decides to hand over the land or everything back to the Indigenous people? What happens to you? What is your fate? So we'll talk more about this and what you can do in our next video. But for now, thank you for joining me, and let me know in the comments what you think and how your encounter you've had. And if you want to learn more about Indigenous people, I can, direct you in the right direction where you can actually get good information, real information, true information, and not something that's being peddled by, people. And I don't want to get into politics right now, but I just want you to understand, like, these people, you have to really get to know them. Like, when you see them at their lowest, that's mostly what is portrayed in, out there. You see them on the streets. No, when you see the real wholesome Indigenous people, you have to go to their hometowns. You have to talk to them. You have to actually get to know them. And you will actually be surprised.